Alrighty, Infernal Blessings. We are back with another video. Before I begin, some quick announcements. For those interested in signing up for the classes that I do offer, I have a bunch of ongoing classes going on right now. The way to do that is to go to the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page at patreon.com/Baniti, B-A-N-I-T-I, patreon.com/Baniti, B-A-N-I-T-I. Tier 3 is the tier you want to join. That gives you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon, and it gives you access to the group ritual we do at the end of the month. We have a Kali Ma ritual coming up at the actually this upcoming Friday night. So if you want to get in on that, Tier 3 will give you access to the Kali Ma ritual. We have a bunch of ongoing series right now on Patreon that I'm doing. We have Sith, Dark Side, Alchemy, and Philosophy class. We are about 8 or 9 deep and counting. We'll have a new Sith class that I'll be doing in October. But if you join, you do have access to all the archive Sith classes. We have the Luciferian Magic and Self-Mastery class, Klepothic Sorcery class, Shadow Work class, we're 18 and counting, Esoterical Occult Bible Study class, with the Quran class being added soon, Eastern Left-Hand Path Occult class, you name it, list goes on and on. Bunch of topics. I also have mentorship tiers on there that you can take a look at. Red Magus mentorship program, tier 5. But again, please only sign up for mentorship programs if you're going to invest the time, effort, and energy and do the work. I don't want to waste your time. Please do not waste my time. My time is very valuable to me. I use it to be as productive as I can in all facets of my life. All right. Also, the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference is in full effect. You can sign up and register now. Takes place October 19th to the 22nd, with a meet and greet. Kicks it off on Thursday the 19th. Classes, workshops, and rituals and presentations on the 20th and the 21st. And then I'll be finishing out the conference on Sunday the 22nd with a Q&A, question and answer session. You could also attend virtually. Either way, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com, and I will send you information on how to register and sign up for the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference. If you're interested in a spiritual reading or a consultation, I offer various different types of readings. I offer Klepothic demonic readings. I offer Santa Muerte readings, Egyptian oracle readings, shadow work readings, deity readings. Shoot me an email and I will send you a list of readings, and I will also send you information on how to sign up for a particular reason, for a particular reading or a consultation. All right. Also, keep in mind all this new content is being uploaded to the Primordial Chaos podcast, which is available on all Spotify and all major podcast platforms. Don't forget to also check out the other social media pages on Instagram, Primordial Chaos 9, one words. On Facebook, Primordial Chaos 2 words. Everything I just said, the links to the social media sites, the link to the podcast, my contact email address, the link to the Patreon page to sign up for classes, all of that is in the description box of this video that you are currently watching right now. All right, having said that, let's get into it. Ritualizing mythology, right? Let's talk a little bit about this, right? Whether it's, since the last few days, we've been talking about the Sith, right? Mythos or mythology, right, can be utilized as a powerful tool when you ritualize it. See, so what tends to happen is people get caught up in the literalness of something. Whether people are foolishly arguing over the Bible, trying to validate the literal aspect of it, you get jammed up when there's a lot of things that's going to contradict that. So like when you have religious folks, for an example, who think, you have some folks who take the position that everything in the Bible is literal. You have some folks who may take the metaphorical route. You have some who say it's a combination of both, etc., etc. Well, with mythology, and again, even if we're looking at the Sith, we're looking at ancient Egypt, we're looking at the ancient Sumerians, right? Anything that's referred to as mythology. So let's look at Sith philosophy, and how it was created, for an example. When we draw from the Star Wars trilogy, which it has its origin. And obviously the writer, George Lucas, see, this is what you guys got to understand. Obviously the creator of it, George Lucas, who wrote it into the Star Wars trilogy, just like Walt Disney created and came up with these characters, which is affiliated with Disney to this day, it's the same thing. Because if you don't understand how to ritualize the mythology, you can get jammed up. Because somebody can turn, it's like if you turn to somebody and say, prove to me Mickey Mouse is real. Is there literally proof that you could produce that there's a Mickey Mouse? Literally? No. But Mickey Mouse exists in the hearts and the minds of everybody who embraces Mickey Mouse. It's the same thing if you follow Sith philosophy. If somebody came to you and said, is there such a real thing literally as Sith? Yes and no, because literally you wouldn't be able to prove it other than in the aspect of your subconscious mind. Because when you embrace the mythology, it becomes real to you. So wasting time arguing with people trying to validate if something is real or not is pointless. And that applies even to ancient Egyptian mythology. Because technically, I'm just going to keep it 100% with you. If anybody was put on the spot in that moment to literally prove it's real from a literal perspective, you wouldn't be able to do it. Okay? You'd have to be honest and say you wouldn't be able to do it. You can do that with anybody who follows any spiritual system. And I'm going to show you where I'm going with this. Let's just say it's somebody, let's use ancient Egypt for an example. Okay? Let's just say somebody embraces Amun-Ra as a literal deity, because I know some spooky ass people that look at Amun-Ra as the Most High, like a Muslim looks at Allah, or like a Christian or a Hebrew looks at Yahweh or Jehovah, etc., right? You wouldn't be able to literally have proof. Yes, I understand you can go to certain texts, you can go to certain theories, you can use resources, but I'm saying if we're looking at it literally, couldn't do it. You'd have to be honest with yourself. But so here's how you ritualize the mythology. First of all, if you really understand the science of being on the path to self-mastery, and if you really have been paying attention to everything I've been saying the last few years about your imagination, your mind, your visualization skills, keeping your mind sharp and having the ability to tap into your imagination and connect your creativity to your subjective consciousness and awareness. Okay? That's where it becomes real. And again, I have to go back to the example that I've mentioned many times before with Walt Disney. He created a whole mythology of characters that he captivated it so strongly in his imagination that it's stamped in the very fabric of our existence and society to this day. And not just in the United States of America, by the way. Disney World, Disneyland, that shit is worldwide. That's overseas in Europe. That's here in the United States. It's global. Okay? He literally, not only he ritualized that mythology, but he manifested it and made it real. So if you're fucking claiming you are God, and all you're doing is talking about what this is and what that is, and you can't manifest none of the shit, then you ain't no different than the Christian going to church every week, hoping, praying, assuming what you know is right. See, that's the difference of what we do. We can take anything, ritualize it, and manifest it into existence. See, that's real magic. That's understanding what self-mastery is. And that's why I keep telling you guys, the key word in that sentence is self-mastery. Okay? You must look within yourself to get the answers, the solutions to these things. You must do it through your ritual work, through your study, through your practice. Okay? And this always comes up with the first Hermetic. I recently got an email, 2-3 days ago. People get stuck on that shit because they don't understand it. The first principle of the 7 Hermetic principles of duty. All is mental is all, the universe is mental. But I thought everything was mental. It is. Because it all has origin in the subconscious mind. But I don't understand. I did a ritual. How many times do I got to say this shit? I don't understand. I did a ritual and I saw Kali. Or I don't understand. I did a ritual. I saw this, that, Lucifer, this, that. I'm going to say it again, people. And I probably wind up saying it again because it never fails. I've talked about this on and off for the last several years. I don't deny you're having personal, external experiences, but they're subjective by nature. Okay? I keep saying that. I don't dispute if you went into a meditation, a ritual, a visualization, and you experienced something. I'm not doubting that. It's no different when I've talked about UFO abductees. I believe subjectively they experienced something. I can't confirm it 100%, but I do believe in nature something subjective happened to them. They definitely experienced it. I'm not doubting that, but I can't fully co-sign on it or agree with it because I didn't have that same experience. So when you're having a ritual, when you're doing a ritual and you're working with an archetype or deity or whatever it is you're working with, and you have some type of experience, know that that is personal, subjective in nature for you. And yes, it can create the experience that it is external because you are manifesting it from within. Because the question I have to ask you, where did it come from? So if you did a ritual with Kali and go, yeah, man, in the ritual, you know, I was doing the mantras and then all of a sudden Kali appeared to me above my altar. How many times have we heard people say shit like that over the years? I'm taking my glasses off, it's starting to dark over here. It looks like it's about to rain. But where did, my question to you would be, where did Kali come from? That would be my next question to you. Where? If she didn't manifest from your subconscious mind, then where? That's my question. If you're working with the Sith, and let's just say you embrace the characters of the Sith trilogy. These were characters created by writers, right? So if you're any of the Sith, Rilo 7, whoever, if you embrace them as being literal or real, it's literal or real to you. But outside of that, you really couldn't confirm it. And this is why I said it's an inward journey out, not an outward journey in. People keep getting that fucked up. They keep missing that part. So we as Sith practitioners who study Sith philosophy, and I study all that. I love all that stuff. I love the characters and the stories of the Sith. But am I to embrace that as literal and real? Or do I take the information, the philosophy, the knowledge that it contains and utilize that to ritualize it? That's my point. And that's why I've said since day one, starting the Sith classes, I said it on the previous 2 Sith videos, I'm more focused on the alchemy, the philosophy, and the practice of the Sith, which is very occult, left-hand path, and Luciferian in nature. Nobody could deny that. But if you are really into the Sith pantheon, and you're into all the Sith characters, and you're into the Sith series of books that were written on this, a lot of knowledge you can grasp from that. But you can only do that being a master. But are we to look at that literally? That's the question. Because just like we could put a Christian on the spot and say, prove to me Jesus is real. That could be done to us too. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful in your understanding and how you embrace these concepts. Because just as quick as you're putting somebody on the spot, somebody can turn around and put you right on the spot. Okay? And this is why I said, for an example, when we're looking, if we're working with a mythos, we're working with the pantheon, we're working with a specific philosophy or spiritual practice on the left-hand path of the occult, this is why I say it's a combination of both, right? You got to be able to decipher between the allegorical and literal parts of the mythology. That's your job as a god, a goddess, a master, traveling this path of self-mastery. That's your job. See, that's the difference. When I'm reading for an example, let me go back to ancient Egyptian mythology. When I'm reading the Coming Forth by Day, the Pyramid Text, the Book of Gates, there's a lot of symbolism in there. When I'm reading the story of Ra's journey through the underworld on the Menjet, the boat of Ra or Re, and Set, navigating that boat, there's a lot of mythology in there. How do I ritualize that? Real simple. You as a representation of Set on the bark of Re, guiding the boat through the void, the abyss, the darkness. That's a representation of you on this spiritual journey, navigating through the void and the abyss. And when you go through each gate, I created a whole ritual on that, which I'm getting ready to unleash. We're going to be doing that either later to the end of this year or early next year. That whole story is the story of you and your journey. So that's how you take a mythology and ritualize it and make it personal for yourself. Not get caught up and argue over the literal, is the story real? Is it well, this and that? And then you get jammed up when you do that because there's going to be too many contradictions. You going through the 12 gates, there's numerology, you got the 12, you got the 1 and 2 and 3. It always goes back to 9, the black flame of consciousness. Who's at the 9th gate of the 12? 1 and 2 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9. You got to know how to ritualize the mythology. And there's a reason those symbolicisms are there. That you at first represent Ra as a neophyte who doesn't have the knowledge to defeat a Pep, in the sense not to eliminate him, but how to make order out of that a Pep chaotic energy that resides within you, right? That's you when you first come on the path. And then when you connect with the black flame of consciousness through the form of Set, now you have the awareness and the knowledge to make order out of your chaos. Rather than look at that story literal, because if I did historically, it could be debunked. So that's the difference. We don't get into philosophical and historical pointless debates because it's a waste of fucking time. It's not going to make you grow. It's not going to better yourself. You're not going to better your life. All you're going to do is get into a back and forth fuckery and argument over nothing. I'm past those stages. I don't really care about all that stuff anymore. But I can take that stuff now as a god and ritualize it and make it my own. It's the same thing with the Warren Brothers stories, whether it's Set, Heru, Set, Usir, whether you look at, even in the Sith philosophy in Trilogy, student versus master, higher self, it's always a representation of the higher self and against the weaker self. That's all the Set Heru story represents. It's you, your internal battle and fight to overcome your weak, lower mortal self that is destructive in nature to your spiritual growth. That's all it is. So it's told in a story of two warring brothers, okay, which has been done multiple times in different cultures. You can go back to ancient Samaria with Enki and Enlil. You can go to ancient Egypt, see the two warring brothers, all the way up to your most recent modern day Bible, whether it's Jacob and Esau, and prior to that, Cain and Abel, right? How do you ritualize the mythology? That's all I want to know, okay? And that's the difference of what we do, rather than take on the perspective, oh, this is 100% literal and real. And it's not. This is what I mean when I say it's only as real as you make it. And again, I have to go back to Walt Disney. Walt Disney, look, again, I don't care about his personal shit. Somebody one time said in the live, yeah, but he was this. I don't give a fuck about that. Okay? I'm trying to just simply make a point and an example. Okay? Look how and I'm using it because it's something we can connect with in recent modern day times. Look at what he did. Look at the legacy he left. He's transitioned on to his next cycle of existence, and he's left such a legacy and an impact behind that is so powerful to this day that you got motherfuckers spending millions of dollars upon millions of dollars every year on this shit. Mickey Mouse, you got Mickey Mouse fanatics, Donald Duck fanatic, collect Disney shit, Disney this, Disney that. Now you tell me what's real and motherfucking fake. You decipher, you tell me, break down to me, what's the fine line, a fine point of what's real and what's fake in your perspective. That's all I want to know. That's it. So you ain't gotta like Walt Disney. You ain't gotta like Disney World. I'm not a Disney World, Disneyland person. Not that I have any personal hate, I just never was into it. But I'm gonna call it for what it is. I gotta use that example. Here's a man in the modern era, in our lifetime that we're aware of, that created a fictional story, fictional characters, to the point here we are years later, where that shit is so real to some people. Some people, that shit is very real. Okay? Whether they're aware of it or not, they've ritualized the mythology. Because the more that they embrace the characters, the more that they embrace all the concepts connected to Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Daffy Duck, it starts to become very real inside of them. It's no different when you embrace the Sith philosophy. It becomes a part of you. That's what makes the shit real, people. Okay? So don't try to trap us with, because people try to get slick. Don't try to trap us with, well, you said this and that, so you believe. First of all, we don't believe in anything. Let me just make that clear. I've said that a million times. Every time I get in conversation sometimes with people, or they send an email, please do not paraphrase or phrase anywhere in the email, but you believe. No, you're making that statement. You never heard me say I believe in anything other than I have belief in myself and the knowledge that I've acquired, right? How many times have I talked? There is a such thing as belief on the left-hand path in the occult, but what have I followed it up with? Personal belief in oneself based on the knowledge through their experience that they have acquired, because that's real to them. I'm not saying it's real to everybody else, because it can't be, right? That's what makes your journey unique on this path, right? Because everybody's having their own experiences, right? Not saying, again, there could be some similarities here and there, but what we are able to clearly grasp that others can't, we understand the concept of the collective all, the collective conscious, but we also understand we are all individual entities existing within that collective consciousness and retaining our uniqueness. You would have to understand that if you understand the isolated consciousness of Set. For an example, if you say you work with Set, right? How could you not understand that? And if you hear all that noise, people, that's rain. So I'm going to have to talk a little loud over it. But this is how you ritualize the mythos, the mythology. I don't care if it's Egypt, Samaria, the Sith philosophy. If I'm God, controller, builder, creator, destroyer of my universe and multiverses, and I'm in control, I'm the center of that, and I'm in control of everything that evolves around me, whatever I embrace as a reality is real to me. Whatever I decide to destroy, eliminate, and annihilate and have nothing to do with, that's not real to me no more. Don't matter if it's real to you, and vice versa. It may not be real to me. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in what's existing within my realm. See, you gotta catch sometimes what I'm saying. I said many times before, you exist between two realms that run side by side, parallel to each other. Grasp it for a minute. I still think people don't grasp and understand that. All right? I tried to give you the science of the pyramid. When you see the pyramid at the top, how it's pointed, it's the same way it is in the ground. Bring those together. There's occult metaphysical science to that. That's really what we're calling the Star of David. Even further, if you go back into the Babylonian temples, where you see this six-pointed star, it's a meshing of those two worlds. The six-pointed star, as I said multiple times, was adopted later in what we know as modern-day Judaism. It technically doesn't have anything to do with Judaism. I know after later the Star of David, this, that, and the other. These were all concepts that were adopted later. But how is it prior to before anything we're calling Judaism existed? Why do I find, predating Judaism, I find a six-pointed star in cultures like ancient Babylon, Samaria, or Egypt prior to what we're calling modern-day Judaism? Somebody explain that. So the question is it really what we're calling a Judaic star? Absolutely not. Okay? Or did somebody take something, make it their own, and ritualize it for their own personal growth? So you guys don't understand, again, the importance of knowing how to ritualize mythology. You can take that with any story. I don't give a fuck. You can take it with a cartoon. You can ritualize. I'm being dead serious. It might sound funny. It might sound stupid. You can take Daffy Duck or Porky Pig and ritualize that if you choose. I'm not saying I would do it because I got no interest, but I'm going to show you how powerful the mind and the imagination is And that's truly where God lies. I keep telling you guys that. You must understand that. And this is why I've been saying for the last year and a half, there has been a serious focus by the powers that be, the people who want all the control, the financial control, the natural resource control, political control, world global control. They know that starts with controlling your mind. Through fear. Okay? Through fear. Through your emotions. It's that simple. Don't let them do it. Don't let them do it. It's funny how they'll criticize us for embracing concepts like this, but then they want to create movies, characters, sell merchandise, t-shirts, products, action figures, this, that, and the other. I mean, shit, look at Marvel. Do I need to go any further? Look how Marvel literally has almost become embraced as if it's factual. Superheroes. They don't want to tell you you can't do it, but they want you to accept their superheroes that they create. Right? Is that any different than what I'm saying? It's not, if you really look at it. It really isn't. Okay? So, having said that, as I'm reaching my destination, think about that for a minute. Think real hard now of how you need to approach the type of knowledge you absorb, the type of systems and philosophies you study. How are you going to apply that to your path to self-mastery and your ritual work? Okay? I just showed you. Okay? This is how you do it. Instead of wondering how, when, where, should I, could I, would I, all that stuff becomes null and void. Throw it out the window when you start to understand what we just discussed and talked about. It's that simple. Not complicated. As I said before, we tend to make things more complicated than they actually are. And again, because of our deeper spiritual gnosis of stuff like this is why it's hard for people to deal with us. Because we're not going to cower down and bow down to their ridiculous ideologies and faith and belief systems. We're not going to do it. Okay? And you shouldn't. All right? Having said that, you know where to reach me? If you need to reach me to sign up for the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, if you want to schedule a spiritual reading or a consultation, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. And keep in mind the direct link to the podcast, the Primordial Chaos Podcast, the social media pages, Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram, one word, Primordial Chaos on Facebook, 2 words, the social media sites, the podcast link, my contact email address, and the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti. The link to sign up for classes is in the description box of this video you are watching right now. All right? So having said that, I am going to sign off until the next video. Tomorrow I will get some videos up. I've got a couple ideas of what I want to talk about, so look for some new videos tomorrow, some of these short tutorials. And we're just going to keep this content, this information, this knowledge flowing. And if you like this information, we go 10 times more in depth. And I'm not just saying that to hype it up. We go 10 times more in depth on the Patreon page. If you really want to take this to another level, I encourage you to check out the Primordial Chaos Patreon page. All right? All right, folks. Peoples all over the globe, infernal blessings, and we'll talk soon.